Hi, hello. Well, the past few days I've been asking God, what am I going to talk about? What should I talk about? And I had no idea. I had no idea. So I went for our, it's called a think tank. It's called Ambroseli Think Tank. It's there every Wednesday at Sheraton from 3 p.m. to onwards, depending on how long it takes people to have that discussion. So there was a very interesting lady who came that day. Her name is called Irene T. Kuma. She's a Ugandan. This is her book. It's called Destined. And she spoke, and I mean, it's like her and I were kindled, kindred souls. Like whatever she spoke about, I felt it. I felt it. It was like whatever she was thinking, I was thinking it. And usually when such things happen to me, I don't take it for granted. For me, I felt it was like confirmation, like this is what you have been asking. You've been asking, what should I talk about? Here is this lady talking to you about this. It also confirmed certain things for me on my journey. So her story, I've just begun reading it, and I'll be sharing some things that I've read from there. Her story is about how she was an unwanted child. She was a child from her sister's husband, her sister's younger no her sister's her younger sister was her mother. Oh, have I said it right? Okay. The sister's husband had a child with her younger sister. I hope you've understood me. Like, let's say you're married to someone and then your husband has a child with your younger sister. And because of that, it was taboo and it was looked at badly. And some people were telling her the lady who was carrying her, the mother, that she should abort and do all sorts of things. But her mother chose to carry her forth. Her mother was young. She was, I think, about 14 at the time. And she talks about her journey and how she never really got to know her dad until she was around 8 years old. And how she's talking about the story of how she came to fulfill her purpose and how her story has helped her become to inspire people to find their purpose. She also does teachings I'll find out and then I'll share with you, so that maybe if you're having questions about purpose, she could help guide you from her talks. And so that's what I'm going to talk about this week. And let's start with, what is purpose? According to the Bible, purpose is we are created to glorify God. And I think that's just a very brief summary of what glorifying God means. It could mean glorifying God in the things He has created us to be, in the talents He has given us. So, and then I went to Google, and this is what they say. Purpose in life is the central motivating aim that drives your life and the reason you wake up every day. I remember when I was working in some places and I would wake up almost sick. I would wake up tired. I would wake up dreading. I would literally fall sick from going to work. I know it sounds weird, but part of the reason was I had a boss who used to pick on me, like when I would not count money as fast as others, or the way I would hold money. It was just simple things. I was doing my job, but he just always found the time to come and nitpick and say all sorts of things to me. And so I started dreading work. I started fearing work. I would just get headaches thinking about work. I was so exhausted. I was overworked. Sometimes I would go to work of course, you're going to work by 6, and then you're coming back from work at around 9, 10, and you're not even being paid for overtime. And that happens in Uganda all the time. People take their staff for granted. They use them because maybe of lack of knowledge, because maybe the us the employees, we are desperate for work, so we'll do anything to keep our jobs. So you find I ended up doing a whole year without going for leave, and yet leave is mandatory. At least you're supposed to get 30 days off. So I was exhausted by the end of the year, and one day I asked my superior, can I take 3 days off just to rest? So when I asked for that, I was told no. And that's when I realized that they would never appreciate me. They would never appreciate the work I was doing, because at that time I was in a department where we needed 4 people. My boss was not well, so I had to do some of her work, and then the work that 3 other people were supposed to be doing. So I found myself overworked, overwhelmed, and even sometimes doing things that were for my boss and I didn't know how to do them. And I just needed a break because I was really burning out. So when he said that, I realized that if I died today or tomorrow, these people wouldn't care about me. They would not care. They would actually move on. The company would move on. So I resigned, and after resigning, I was replaced by 4 other people. Yet I was doing the work alone with my boss. So you see, sometimes these workplaces can use you and completely finish you. I know people who have overworked themselves for institutions, for companies, only for them to die from exhaustion, die from stress, and all the company can do is give them a package for the family, and that can never replace that person. People being in toxic environments, and they have to stay there because they need the job, they need the money, they have families to take care of. And I understand that. But if it's affecting your health, your mental health, your physical health, trust me, it's not worth it. That is a sign that it's time to leave or find another place of work. I don't want people to look at me like a rebel. But me, I value health, mental health. I value physical health, because I have lost people. I have lost people to physical health. My dad died of blood clots. My brother, 2-3 years later, died of blood clots. They had lung issues. My brother was overweight. He was working in a toxic environment. So it's like, and I once told my brother, like, if you died, those people wouldn't care about you. Like, that would be the end of you, but they would go on. But he was so loyal, and so many of us are so loyal to people. We are loyal to relationships where we are being treated badly. We are loyal to people to businesses that treat us badly. We are loyal to friendships that are destroying us. So we need to really sit down and think, is this good for me? How does it make me feel? Is it bettering me? Is it destroying me? And I know not everyone has the luxury of, I can do what I want, I can move on whenever I want, but it's not about that. It's about, as you are there looking for other options, perhaps starting your own business. Because after I left that place, I started a cake business, and I started selling cakes on the streets. But I was happier. I would go from offices to offices selling cupcakes. But the peace of mind I had, it was so much better. And so many people would tell me, why don't you go back? Why don't you go back? I'd be like, no, I can't. And I thank God I had the courage to leave. So this started with us talking about purpose. And the reason I brought that up is they say it's something that makes you wake up every morning. Like, you're excited. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like this is what it feels like for me now. Like in this season of my life, it may change, I don't know, but in this season of my life, I feel like I am excited to do this. I am happy to do this, you know? So that thing of waking up and feeling like, yeah, this feels right. This gives me peace. This may not be paying me, but I feel alive, you know? That is important. So I'm going to continue with this series on purpose while I also share what I have learned from this book. And you know, you can pick it from Aristoc. It's just 50K, 50,000 Ugandan shillings. She's not paid me to promote it, please. No, she hasn't. It's just that I really feel like it resonated with me, and as I read it, I really feel like we are on the same wavelength. So if you're having questions about your purpose, I would suggest maybe you pick up this book and take a read, you know. Otherwise, thank you for listening. You can always like, follow, share if you like the content.